Salut et bonjour. Je m'appelle Nadine Hoffmann. Je ne parle pas français beaucoup. That's why I will start my presentation in English. And we will have also afterwards some time for some question and answers. So thanks everybody for having me. And I'm very honored to have the chance for this first initial event in Tunisia with Women in Data Science to be the keynote speaker here for you and to share some of my thoughts with you about product management in data science or in AI. Let me share with you, I'm coming from SAP and I'm not a technologist, I'm not a data scientist. I'm a product manager and I'm for the past more than 20 years working in new technology areas, trying to infuse new technology into our products. And with that, I think even today, among us women, among the whole world, collaboration is one of the most important things we need to do. And I love to be part of this event here to network, to collaborate. And as collaboration is getting more and more important, this brings me down to our topic, not looking into technology of AI, but looking into how infuse AI into our products and what we need to consider while running product management and while collaborating with these experts in data science and engineering part. So welcome to my presentation, Productization of New Technologies, with a slight key focus on AI, the good, the bad, and the complex. And let me start our journey with a little story from my past. So this example, I need to admit, is more than 15 years old already. When I have been part of a project team developing a payment solution within SAP. So that was for payment processing. And our clear goal was really to create a business value and through the consolidation and streamlining of payment processing for banks and corporates in one solution. And we did that while combining the domestic, the SEPA, as well as the international payment processing into one single platform at the same time. The focus was to ease the life of the corporates, to give more possibilities to banks while processing these kind of payment processes in one consolidated platform. And last but not least, to offer them reducing of their cost while processing these kind of payments. And for me, payments is a very good example for automation using and also developing new software solution. And you might wonder, I'll come to that in a bit, because it's development overall means. With paper money, coins, still happening today, but not as much as in the past, right? The next thing of evolvement in the technology evolvement was really the possibilities of sitting in front of your computer and doing a digital payment transfer. Clearly followed then by the expectation of corporates as well as of the end user to be able to do real-time payments, directly transfer from A to B. I didn't want to wait another 3 days until my payment reaches my friend or whatever I needed to pay, right? And the same happened then on the international payment market. And that was again clearly followed by how do we pay today? We use our mobile phone. Oh, sorry, you can't see that because of my background, but you can use your mobile phone. You can even use here your watch, right? You could use your glasses if you're wearing something. So the technology infuses how we do things, and it infuses to help us doing things in an easier manner. Last but not least, with regards to payments, you might think about the broader digital payment capabilities we have nowadays with greatest evolvement using cryptocurrencies. And Bitcoin is not just the only one, right? In a more mature manner today, it's even possible to really do secure fund transfer. Distributed ledger technology enables us to share data in a secure, trusted environment. And that means always having the need to be state of the art, using the latest technology for corporates and end users, while the delivering a clear defined value add. You one question, has this major goal to deliver and create value add for our customers changed today? I think no, and that's a good thing. So for product managers, we are still seeking to deliver a business value. We are seeking to drive a product to success by delivering value to the market, to our end users, to our customer stakeholders, whoever we collaborate with. And the goal is the same no matter which technology we are using. I gave you an example with distributed ledger technology. I will come to examples with AI in a minute. So this is the good part of it from my perspective. But it sounds very trivial, right? Delivering business value, nothing to think about. But reaching this goal has become much harder than in the past. And even it is more important. Because sometimes, from my experience, coolest, latest and greatest technology, and that also includes AI, they are using, these products are not successful. And this is the bad part of it. So today, the product manager has to cover a much broader scope of requirements, boundary conditions, and therefore we need to cover also different type of roles than before. So next to, and most of you might know that, role in, market analysis, go-to-market, enablement, business development. I could go on for more. These are all tasks and responsibilities the product manager owns. But from my perspective, there are two more roles which are very important today, also with regards to technology. And that is building the bridge between the technology and the business, between old and new mindset, how to do things, what possibilities these new technologies, which possibilities AI bring. And also what kind of challenges are coming together with that. So think about data preparation, data gathering, all that for the model training. Living and breathing capabilities AI brings to us is important rather than saying, hey, I'm using it because it's cool. A second key role from my perspective is being the translator. What is possible and what not? What are the boundary conditions? What are the limits we are moving in? The product managers, together with the development and the data scientists, we are the ones paving the path, setting the rails to choose the right technology within the product for our customer needs, while focusing clearly on the value add. So what should we use? What is answering the challenge our customer has, rather than saying we use it because it's cool, as said before. And does that sound as an easy task to do? I don't think so. So this is really the complex part, especially while a lot of these new promising technologies, and especially also that counts for AI, right? We have reached a certain limit, a certain level of maturity. But can we talk about that this technology is totally mature and that it's running out of the box like that? No, it's not. There are a lot of challenges we are still facing on day-to-day interaction. So we really need to look at these things. And even if we talk about AI, maturity is still not at that level enterprises, corporates would wish for. So the frame of reference has changed, and it's the biggest challenge from my perspective of a product manager, which he needs to or she needs to address. It's expectation management. It's all about expectation management. And it's also, in my opinion, about being honest and clear. We need to foster the trust. We need to be the reliable counterparts, the translator for the AI technology we want to use to create our business value. So what do I mean by the complex part with regards to AI? Next to that, we need to fulfill different roles. Let us look into that a bit more. I think we need to rethink. So it is not longer just an if-when clause, to take up a bit of an engineering talk, but it's a complex deep learning model we want to develop. For those non-data scientists among us, and as I said, I'm one of them, this is a black box. And this is not at all easy to understand. And I must admit, I started in the AI section roughly 5 years ago. So I'm not doing this for the last 20 years already. I'm really jumping into that. I had to learn all of that. I needed to understand it. So while the development colleagues are already also helping us and working on possibilities to look into these black boxes via the so-called explainability, it is important that I at least can act as a translator on the business level. How can I help to solve my business challenges? How can I deliver, how can the technology deliver business value if we use AI? And it is not longer easy or traceable or comprehensible at the fingertips. The AI technology becomes more autonomous, and that's where we need to educate our ecosystem. It starts with myself, and then it grows among my colleagues and teammates. It grows to the internal ecosystem as well as then to my external ecosystem where my customers, my stakeholders, my partners are. So honestly, I need to admit, I sometimes do feel like rather not like a product manager. I feel rather like a teacher who is herself at the same time learning something new and needs to explain it to others. This is challenging. This is complex. And I think we need to admit that there are options, but also challenges. But we are the ones as product managers with the help, with the collaboration of data scientists and engineering teams who need to be able to ease the complexity of the technology and guiding the use of this AI technology in the right areas. And finally, last but not least, also this mindset embraces an end-to-end thinking and a consistent architecture principles over siloed solution. When we combine AI technology and tools with existing infrastructure, which again adds complexity to it overall. So we should, again, and I'm not getting tired to underline that, from my perspective, we really should try to prevent that AI is just being used because it's cool in products. We need to really create value and to find the right manner to position or include it and make this clear also to our ecosystem. We are not just selling pure technology. One example, users in corporates, I think, are not interested, or at least I'm not interested, for example, to understand how an email works. Have you ever really, okay, if you are an engineer, then most likely yes, but if not, have you looked behind the scenes? No, you want to have it trustful, reliable. You want to send information from A to B. It should work. It should ease your life. And that's if you're a non-engineer and non-data scientist, which makes it so fascinating. There is technology helping you, easing your life. You need to understand it to a certain amount, and then you need to see how you can use it. And that is, for me, a fascinating part about data science, to work together to get a bit more understanding, a feeling for that technology and what it can do for us and what world it can open for us. But on the other hand, if I look on our solutions, for example, it is in a lot of cases for us just another capabilities within an end-to-end solution. And we should never look for a challenge to use that technology just to use it. In most cases, this will not work out. So we need to be very precise in what we want to achieve with new technology and how we want to incorporate it. And I think that's, again, the complex part. So we are striving for successful products, but how to do that? We talked about new roles, touched upon complexity. So let me wrap that up a bit into the different points of complexity I see as the major ones. First of all, and I did already draw some examples, but let me take that comparison as an example, which makes it easy from my side. Developing a distributed ledger, a blockchain solution, is much more complex than writing something just into a database. And a lot of you might disagree. I just want to abstract that as an example. And as said before, it is the same and comparable with AI to say an if-when clause is much easier than developing a complex deep learning model. Due to AI, the old way of building products solemnly based on rules is no longer the only one. It is a combination of recommendations. It's a self-learning, autonomous technology giving me advice based on historical data. And therefore it is also beyond that, important to understand that AI takes it times. The machine learning models take time to learn and make mistakes along their way. The second topic for me, consumer versus enterprises. Within SAP, we often talk about enterprise readiness, enterprise processes. And to give you some example, that means, for example, 24/7 being available in the cloud. Revision safe, explainable, high scalability, performance, always thinking end to end. We have business critical processes where we need to consider backup processes. Security is a high important topic, as well as auditability. I could go on for longer. Furthermore, especially for corporates, our focus and the way we interact has grown into multi-dimensions. It is similar to an even stronger collaboration among the relevant parties. So supporting process relevant and running, they need to run smoothly. That's of utmost importance today. So often they are the supporting processes which we need to consider while developing a solution, are often the tipping point of a product being successful or not, and not just the product itself. What I mean by that, just think about the process you need to do, for example, before you can even start to develop a model. Data gathering, labeling, or what needs to be considered to make a model available to customers cloud-based. Architecture, infrastructure, that needs to be there. So it's not just the model itself, it's not just the solution around the model, it's also how you provision that. So the third one is, as I said in the beginning of my little story, we want to have it everywhere, on all devices, digitalization overall. The fourth one is getting it recommendations you can rely on, as well as having a usage-driven metering, pay as you go. Yeah, you want to have it, just use it while, or you just want to pay for what you use. These are the new market and customer requirements, which needs to be also considered from a cloud architecture perspective. The fifth important one is really the data handling, and especially for AI, with all the legal requirements, GDPR, anonymization, labeling, having enough data, having the right data to train a model, to develop a model. I'm pretty sure, especially for the data scientists in this round here, I don't have to tell more. There are a lot of more reasons or top examples. And that also go together with the sixth point, not to forget about AI ethics. How to handle these new oil name data, acting ethical, compliant, and trustful, but also, as addressed before, how to look into the black box to foster this trust in technology with explainability. I think these are topics we at utmost importance. We need to consider them. We can't neglect them. And looking at this flavor, this gives the complexity of the overall situation. A product manager with these new technologies, with at least to give it a picture to go with. Let me compare this overall complexity with something most of us might perhaps be knowledgeable from books or movies. And I like it because I think that even was one example my youngster took up and then understood, to say, on the one hand side, I have tic-tac-toe, a two-dimensional game on a paper with two participants. And on the other side, I have this game called Quidditch, right? Where we have to fly around. We are three-dimensional, four-dimensional on the way. We have to throw a ball. We have to snatch this little ball flying behind it. So this is the environment a product manager is moving within today. And let me give that also an example based on AI. Let's think about a mere recommendation for a customer with high blood pressure. The highest priority for AI is to define a clear goal. What do I want to achieve with the result? What kind of recommendation do I want to carefully seeking about your objective and with that, what the outcome should be. And as I said, it is a combination of outcomes, as we just recommending a meal based on the customer given input because he doesn't like tomatoes and he is vegetarian and he has high blood pressure. I need to think behind that information and define algorithm constraint rules for your model so that this limits its flexibility to achieve the wanted objective. For a meal recommendation, in that case, in this example, the critical point is not just given by the customer data straight away, but it is in the end that we need to consider also to avoid salt for a customer with high blood pressure. So we always need to think beyond the information we can see and which is obvious. Let me come to an end and let's wrap it up by having a look at the key takeaways I would like you to take away from the presentation and from the good, the bad, and the complex for a product manager. So the good thing from my perspective is, as said before, our goals stay the same. We are focusing on business value and therefore driving the market success. The increased complexity of the market, of the product success is much more challenging than in the past. And to identify the business challenge and pick the right AI technology is of utmost importance. Last but not least, a stronger collaboration among the different parties, not only with our partners and customers, but especially within the expertise we need from a technology perspective, but also from a go-to-market perspective is much more important. And to consider the site and support processes, which we need, labeling, data preparation, infrastructure, cloud offering, real-time, up-to-date, that is more important than ever. So understand the key aspects and consider them accordingly in your product development. And with that, my wish would be, please stay curious and up to date for the latest AI technologies. I'm pretty sure we will learn a lot today and their maturity, depending also on your product needs and your own interests. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Nadine Hoffmann. Thank you, merci beaucoup. Donc, voilà, est-ce qu'il y a des questions dans la salle? Sami, est-ce qu'il y a des questions des participants à distance? Alors, pour la présentation, nous sommes désolés de toujours un problème de connexion. Toutes les présentations de nos intervenantes vont être partagées sur le site, toujours WIDStunisia.com. Voilà, vous aurez toutes les présentations, vous pouvez les télécharger ultérieurement. Ok, donc je pense que... Allez, une question? Oui. Une question.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to know about your background and which study you did. You are an engineer or marketing?
No, neither. I did master and bachelor in business administration more than 25 years ago. I have a background from a banking perspective, so I did a banking education parallel to my studies. Joined then SAP as a consultant, and I was always looking in the first part of my career on the payment processes, which was always closely connected to new technologies and how to infuse that technology into our products. And as I said, roughly 8 to 10 years ago, I started especially looking into distributed ledger technologies because I always had an interest on technologies and to understand better how they are working, how they are functioning, and how we can translate that into products and bring that to the market. And that then later brought me 5 years ago, roughly, into the AI section, which has always also been close to whatever is related with payments. So that went nicely together, and I got a chance to jump on those topics. And I'm now driving the product management team within SAP on our AI development parts.
Thank you very much to share with us all this information. It was really a good opportunity for me.
Thanks. I'm happy to be able to speak to all of you because I think it's important to also understand we need to get the women with the data science, with the engineering expertise into our rounds. And I'm happy that on our side, I'm collaborating with a lot of women and men and diverse people to really foster that technology. And there's no discussion any longer about the differentiation or that we need to push further. We have a lot of ladies in the team being great data scientists and great developers. And from my side, I think it's also important to see that it's never too late to learn of these new technologies. I mean, if I'm able to share, I'm 46 years old, right? I've started my AI journey roughly 5 years ago without being an engineer. So there's always an option to jump on topics you're interested if you're eager to learn and if you're eager to understand and have a bit of a technology feeling.
Thanks. Thank you, Nadine Hoffmann, for your good message for all of us. Thank you very much. Another question? Khawla? Merci. Merci.
So it's not just the digital technique, it's also the on-site technique.
I want to know how does the SAP does promote women in data science?
We have, I'm happy to share, we have a dedicated women in technology community. We also have Business Women's Network. That's where it started a lot of years ago. We promote them by giving them mentoring, coaching, also opportunities to exchange in our network. We foster them to present, to jump on the stage, to share their knowledge, and by that also growing their network and get more education. We have dedicated women enablement projects and programs, as well as that SAP overall, and that's not just for data science women. We have a clear goal to onboard more women in our positioning whenever we have a free position to be replaced or newly employed. So there are clear goals to foster also the percentage increase of women in our technology jobs. And there's, especially in SAP, a broad flavor of it, from data science, so the real technology side, to marketing, to the role I'm filling out. And there is no difference. We make no difference. So we try to really foster all of them in a comparable way.
I want also to know if SAP is a partner of WIDS.
Yes, yes. We are collaborating strong with women in data science. We are collaborating with the GIZ, who is also supporting some of them events. And we have a lot of partnerships. You can also find women in technology from SAP on LinkedIn and Facebook and other areas, or just contact me. So happy, Sami, if you want to share my data afterwards or my email address, I'm happy to also foster some of the connections.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Another question, Khawla? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about how to build a successful career about project manager. Have you any tips?
Be eager, be curious, find your sweet spot where you are interested in, and then seek for a good network. Don't be shy. Stand in for yourself and ask for what you want. I think that's the most important. Analyze yourself, and that is always important to understand, to review yourself and your capabilities and bring that to the table. Be proactive. Don't be shy. Be proactive. Stand in and ask for what you want. So I think that's at least how it helped me in my career, how I see also others in my network grow. And there's always a good potential in asking your network if you're seeking for a job, if you're seeking for a dedicated education or a training or an enablement. Use the network, exchange and learn from them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Ja, guten Morgen, Frau Hoffmann.
Guten Morgen.
Vielen Dank es war richtig spannend. My name is Miriam Ben Othman. I'm Head of Innovation in the UBCI, and I would like to have some information or quotes, maybe, because I belong from the X generation, and in our academy program, the data science and artificial intelligence, it was not in the program, but it's really interesting as a marketing woman to see that in this technical program, and maybe not very known, well known to today, is that we need logic and a lot of empathy. And it's really the link between the technology and the woman is to have this sensitiveness
Yes.
more than men's. What's in our sector, in banking sector, we need a lot lot of data, and we have a lot of data, and we have to build programs and algorithms in order to anticipate the needs of our customers. But we need a real big change management in our with our colleagues, and what can you give some advices, advices to go faster in this this transformation. It's career transformation, and we are because we are really in the IT transformation today. Thank you.
You bring it. You welcome. You bring a very valid point. Speeding up is needed, and we who are already using, and I think it is very, very critical and very tricky to really transport that and enable that mindset shift. So what we did in the last 2 to 3 years, just not focusing on women explicitly, but to focus on how to make this mindset shift happening, is really to foster awareness. Grab good use cases, grab examples where you have proof points, and be trustful and reliable with the communication you do. Less, I would say, and that's why I emphasized that also in my presentation, less marketing, less saying AI is cool, but finding the sweet spot how you can use AI in a sensible manner, and take that and explain that in an easy, consumable way. In Germany, we tend to say kids, board members, and uneducated people, that they are able to understand what the advantage brings to the table, and less trying to
Bon, nous avons les enregistrements quand même.
capability to juggle a lot of balls. And that is something you need in that environment to drive the expectation, to drive the understanding of the technology and what the mindset shift needs. And on the other hand, then also to convince and to keep it rolling. And I think that's an empathy, an advantage of technology understanding we bring to the table, that we can easily combine also to not convince, but to find trustful and proof points for the technology.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Now we have 2 other questions from okay.
2 other questions from the chat. The first question, Mrs. Hoffmann, when you talk about difficulties in deployment, I would like to know if you guys faced some challenges with regulatories, for instance, difference from North America to Europe, especially when we talk about open banking today.
Not sure if I get it correctly, but I think there are differences with regards to legal requirements. There are differences with regards to data handling, which you need always to consider. So you can't just say I make a global model and then I deploy it easily wherever possible. You always need to consider legal constraints, data constraints, as well as data center constraints, which are then depending on the process you want to cover. I do hope that answers the question a bit. So there are local challenges wherever you look, and you need to consider these local requirements.
Yes, thank you. Second question in the chat, how AI can add value on payment and credit transaction, even though we know that this can be driven by simple rules without if-else statements, as she said.
There are different possibilities how we can infuse AI in payments. One is, for example, to really match invoices to incoming payments. So the full payment backend processing, which you can automate, where the second example is also if a payment is incoming, where to post the payment on cost centers or on a dedicated account. In most cases, especially in the banking sector, this is happening on rule-based. But you can learn over the time, and you can combine rules with the automation of the self-learning system to ease that processing and automate it highly. We have reached massive increases in automation with those two examples. There is also AI in the end user process by just opening up or approving with a face recognition, for example, a payment itself. So the end-to-end process, you're looking at where AI can play a major role.
Thank you.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, thank you very much, Nadine Hoffmann, for an excellent presentation, for this exchange. Thank you very much for your message for women in artificial intelligence and data science. We are happy, maybe we will meet you in Tunisia. You are welcome. Thank you very much for your support. And probably for next edition of Tunisian Women in Data and Artificial Intelligence in Germany, maybe, or yes.
Happy to join next time also on site in Tunisia, and thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now, merci beaucoup pour les échanges, merci pour votre, voilà, les questions, les questions pertinentes qui ont été abordées, pour les bons messages. Donc,